You wouldn't know that Britain's divided on the pomp and ceremony as Anglophiles fly in from around the world.
The excitement is building, let me tell you. Oh my God.
Royal superfans have slept outside Buckingham Palace for days now, campers dubbing King Charles's coronation Chastenbury. And it has to be said, there are some similarities. Once the torrential rain had calmed down, the royals popped out to say hello.
You guys are very well dressed. We are.
While many here are hoovering up the atmosphere on the ground, there are those who have a different procession in mind. All aboard the King Charles III coronation bus. Fully booked all week, it's big business, so I'm off to ask some awkward questions. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, welcome on board.
Thank you. Joyce and Laurie are self-confessed superfans from the States.
So you've flown in all the way from Louisiana to be here?
We did.
Why, can I ask?
Because it's once in a lifetime event and we're Anglophiles.
So you're a fan of King Charles then?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, spicy. You're not a fan of him?
We're a bigger fan of the Queen.
The eve of the coronation of King Charles III.
How excited are you then?
Really excited. I think Charles will be waiting a long time for this.
And what about people that say, we've got a cost of living crisis here, taxpayers are having to pay for this. Should he be paying for it himself?
Ooh, controversial.
Everybody's gone quiet, it's extremely awkward.
It doesn't happen very often, these great big things, and I think it lifts us all anyway. And it brings in so much international tourism as well.
It's fantastic to be here. It's we've just been to Windsor. It's incredible there. Everybody's just so into it, and I love it. I love the atmosphere. It's fantastic.
Park Lane, if you ever play Monopoly on an English board, fly Park Lane.
And of course I don't want to burst the bubble of the bus, but it has to be said there are huge swathes of the population who are not getting on board with the coronation. Some want the monarchy to be abolished, others frankly don't care either way, and then there are some who are furious that it's being funded by taxpayers' money.
Just a few miles away, outside of the royal bubble, and they are not feeling as enthusiastic.
Nobody likes the taxpayers' money being spent, do they? It's the way it is, isn't it? But you've got to celebrate. It's a big deal, isn't it?
I can't afford to live. Why should I have this big thing? It's just costing money, which we don't have.
See, if they've got a celebration to do, why don't they do it themselves? All this punching about just to be king.
If I'm on the street, I would go and watch, yes, but that's my level of interest. If it's from 0 to 10, it's probably 3 to 4 out of 10.
And those dissenting voices are getting louder. Tomorrow, anti-monarchy group Republic are staging a protest alongside King Charles's coronation route. Unlike the devoted, a recent YouGov study found that nearly 2/3 of people either don't care or care very little about the coronation. I'll tell you what people in the UK definitely do care about: the weather. And with thunderstorms predicted tomorrow, it looks like it may well rain on King Charles's parade.
Well, tomorrow the Mall will echo with the sound of horses' hooves, bugles and carriage wheels as thousands of ceremonial soldiers accompany a new king to a very old throne. But today it's high-vis vests, thousands of them, and an almost unprecedented police presence. And some questions about the right balance between liberty and security. I've been speaking to the Met's Deputy Assistant Commissioner, Ade Adelakan. Tell us about the extent of this operation. And we see, an awful lot of your colleagues here. How many are there? How many have you had to deploy?
So from the 1st of May up until about the 8th of May, we would have deployed about 29,000 officers across that entire
29,000.
29,000
across. The biggest operation, bigger than the funeral?
Comparable to the funeral, okay. Really. So that spanned over a number of days as well. So they are quite comparable in terms of scale.
Not everyone is a monarchist here. There'll be some people who don't like what's going on. They don't like the coronation. And the Met tweeted out yesterday that there will be a very low tolerance for any form of protest. What does that mean?
I don't think the Met said there'll be. It wasn't protest we were talking about. I think our line.
I'll tell you exactly what you said. I've got it here. Okay. Hang on a minute. Let me find it.
Well, I think the line.
Our tolerance for any disruption, whether through protest or otherwise,
disruption,
will be low.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? If I throw an egg Is that,
so I'm not going
to. Does that go above or below the threshold?
So what I would say is the law is quite complex. So everything in context. What our organisation is saying, what I carry on saying is this: is that our first and foremost focus is to make sure that people are actually safe within London. But we have a very, very low tolerance for anything or anyone who comes to the centre of town to come and disrupt the coronation.
What does that mean?
But what it means...
if I shout "Long live the Republic," is that disruption?
I'm not going to get into the
but
complex...
we want to know specifics here.
I want to be absolutely...
If I throw an egg at a horse, is that disruption?
You can ask that question.
If I throw 2 eggs?
What? We want everyone to come into London. It is a celebratory event, but we will have a very low tolerance level for anyone who comes and disrupts
really menacing.
It doesn't sound menacing.
We're a democracy. We have freedom of speech in this country. We're a constitutional monarchy.
And hence the reason why I sort of said the law is very complex. So protest you are talking about is very lawful and legal in this country. Sometimes protest strays into criminal aspects as well. My job is to make sure that everyone is safe and secure. The job of my organisation is to make everyone safe. I do not intend to be menacing, and if it comes across...
Is your job also to make sure that the freedom of speech is safe and secure?
My job is to make sure that I police protests in a manner that is proportionate, and that's what we intend to do.
Deputy Assistant Commissioner, thank you very much.
My pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.
Well, with me now is Chandrika Kaul, Professor of Modern History at the University of St Andrews. Thank you very much for coming to our studio here, overlooking Buckingham Palace. 500 million people are going to watch this, perhaps even more tomorrow. What are they going to make of this? What are they going to make of this watching in other parts of the world?
Well, this is global Britain at its very best. What a wonderful platform to showcase so much of our historical tradition, our culture, the continuity. And at the heart of that is this very sacred ceremony, which hasn't changed in a millennium. And yet, what they will also see is continuity married to change tomorrow, because some of that ceremony reflects so much of what 21st century Britain values. For instance, multiculturalism, religious diversity.
But, you know, the institution of the Crown, everything the Crown stood for in the past, do you think it'll be seen in those, what you describe as rather reverential terms, in India, you know, former colony of this country, in parts of the Caribbean where countries like Barbados are thinking, actually, do we really want the Queen? Do we want to be in the Commonwealth? They might see it differently.
Oh, no, yes, indeed they will. But I think the important point is that I think they will all enjoy it. They will all participate in it. This is a joyous moment, you know, and Britain is at the centre of it.
Do you think the King should do what his mother did? Does once the crown has been put on his head, go on a tour of the Commonwealth in order to reboot that notion?
Well, I think the King's role in the Commonwealth really is central and will become central to, I think, his reign. He must do whatever it takes, and whether it, you know, involves this kind of cultural, if you like, diplomacy and the use of soft power, so be it.
But should it be an apology tour?
I think it's very difficult for the King to apologise in a formal political sense. That's the role of the government.
But people want something different from the monarchy today, don't they, than what they got from the monarchy in the Commonwealth 60 years ago, even 40 years ago?
Well, absolutely. But I think one of the things about the House of Windsor is its ability to adapt, to change. And I'm certain that under King Charles, we will see far more of that responsiveness to the concerns that former colonies and imperial countries have about Britain's role. I think he will stop short, he will have to, at making a formal apology.
Just finally, I mean, there's a lot of emphasis not just on the institution and the pageantry, but also, of course, on the family itself. Harry will be here, Meghan will be in California. Do you think that has damaged the image of the royal family around the world?
I think inevitably. But, you know, we don't choose the families that we are born into. But I think, talking about family, what is so refreshing about the coronation ceremony tomorrow is that age and experience is actually being celebrated. We have a grandfather king with his grandchildren and step-grandchildren, you know, taking centre stage.
Professor Kaul, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.